Okay, Parashas Vayeishev, Vayeishev Yaakov be'eretz Migurei Aviv be'eretz Canaan. And Jacob lived in the land of his fathers, in the land of Canaan. So what does it mean? And then it goes straight from Vayeishev into this is the lineage of Jacob. So what does it mean? Vayeishev Yaakov, Jacob was living in the land of Canaan. We know he was living there. What's going on with this word Vayeishev? This is one of my favorite Rashis ever. So Rashi says as follows. Rashi says, actually, the next pasuk is one of my favorite Rashis ever, but this is also a beautiful Rashi. Vayeishev Yaakov, Achar Shakasav L'cha, after the Torah is written, Yeshuvei Esav, the Torah tells us about all the kings that Esav has recorded, all the kings of Esav, Vitoldosav, and all of his offspring, B'derach Ketzara, in a short manner, Shelo Yusfunim V'chashuvim, that they were not, the kings of Esav were not considered to be beloved by God. But nevertheless, it has to explain, God needs to explain, the Torah needs to explain how they settled, V'seder Mechomotehem, and the order of their battles, Ein Horishu Esachori, telling us how they dispossessed the Chorites. Perish L'cha. After that, the Torah comes along and explains Yeshuvei Yaakov v'toldosav, the settlings of Jacob and his offspring. After it tells us about the offspring of Esav. And it tells us about the Yaakov's b'derach haruka. Esav's offspring were told about in a short manner, but Jacob's offspring is told in a lengthy manner. Kol gilgulei sibotam, all of the turns and the reasonings that happened to them. This is more worthy for God to tell us about them and to elaborate about them. So too you find, this really is a Rashi explaining why we have all these listing of the kings at the end of the previous parasha. Because so too you find in the 10 generations from Noach to Abraham, Kitzar Ba'em, that the Torah just briefly tells us who they were. And once it comes to Avram, then the Torah goes into greater detail. This is like a pearl that fell into the sand. A person feels the sand. And the person's feeling the sand, and you're sifting through the sand until they find the pearl. And once he finds the pearl, he throws away the pebbles and keeps the pearl. That's what God lists all the other kings, but then he finds Jacob and throws everything else away. Alternatively, Rashi gives another explanation, a different version. Vayeishev Yaakov. What does it mean? Yaakov settles. Hapashtani hazeh nichnasu gemolav tu'unim pishtan. There was a flax merchant whose camels entered into the town carrying flax. Hapachami tama. The blacksmith wondered, Ana yikanes kol pishtan hazeh. Where are we going to put all this flax? There was one smart man that said, don't worry about where all the flax will go, because if you have one spark from your bellows, will burn everything up. So too Jacob saw all the alufim, all the kings that were listed from the nations of the world. They were all listed at the end of Parshas Vayishlach. And then Tamav Amar, he was shocked and he said, who could defeat all these nations? What is the next word that's written in the next verse? Eila told us Yaakov Yosef. This was the Haftorah we read yesterday, because it says that Jacob's house will be fire and Joseph's house will be flame, and Esav's house will be the straw. Meaning to say, one spark could come forth from Joseph, and take them all down, all the kings of the world. So therefore, God was telling Jacob, don't be afraid. Okay, now that was a beautiful Rashi. This Rashi, I always quote to my children. They've heard it a million times. This is the Rashi of Eila Toldos Yaakov. This is the lineage of Yaakov. What does this mean? Ve'ela Toldos Yaakov. Eila shall Toldos Yaakov. Eila Yishuv Lihem v'Gogohem Achabo Akal Yishuv. What does it mean? These are the offspring of Jacob. Meaning to say, the Torah tells us Eila Toldos Yaakov, and then it doesn't say all the other people. It just tells us Joseph. It's a very big question. Why doesn't it tell us about everybody else? Why does it go straight into Joseph? So it says the verse, Ben Shvas Reish. So it says Rashi, Elu Yishuvam v'Gilgoleim Ache Bo Yishuv. These are the lineages and the offspring of Jacob. These are the settlings and the turns of events until they came to the Yishuv, to the final resting places. Siba Rishona, what's the first thing that happened that caused them to go into wandering? That was Yosef ben Shvas. That was Siba Rishona was Yosef ben Shvasrei, that Joseph was 17 years old. And through as a result of this, they went down. There was a chain of events. The Yardu Mitzrayim, they went down to Egypt. Zeo Achar Ishu Pshuto Shamikra. This is an explanation, which is the pshat. Rashi says this is the pshat, each word in its proper place. Basically, the pshat of what it means, Eila Toldos Yaakov, is to tell us that this is how the whole story of Jacob happened. It all started with Joseph when he was 17 years, and he got everybody worked up from his the following events. That's what Rashi says. This is the pshat. But the Midrash Agada says, Torah Kosav Toldos Yaakov b'Yosef. The Torah is putting the Toldos of Yaakov upon Joseph, meaning to say, the Torah is saying, who is Jacob's true lineage? Joseph. Joseph is Jacob's true lineage. Why is several reasons why Joseph is Jacob's true lineage. The whole reason why Yaakov worked for Lavan in the first place was only because he desired Rachel. And because that's the first reason. And so the first reason is Yosef is the whole reason of everything, because it was Rachel. And that's what he loved the most. And that's why he worked. That's why everything happened was all at the beginning because of Joseph. And secondly, Joseph's appearance was similar to Jacob. Joseph's appearance looked exactly like Jacob. He looked exactly like him. So so the first approach was all of the other offspring really only happened because of Joseph, because Jacob wanted to work for Rachel. And the second explanation is that Joseph's appearance looked exactly like Jacob's. And third thing is Kol ma she'iro Yaakov iro Yosef. Whatever happened to Jacob happened to Joseph. And basically, Jacob is the one who most resembled him in his life. As Zenistam, the Zenistam. Jacob was hated by Esav and Lavan, and so Joseph was hated. Ze'achiv mevakesh v'hargo v'zeh achiv mevakesh hargo. One had a brother who tried to kill him, and this one had a brother who tried to kill him. V'chein harbe. And there are many other similarities b'Bereshis Rabbah. There are many other similarities pointed out between Yaakov and Yosef and Bereshis Rabbah, which we could check, but Rashi, we could check what they all are, but Rashi sought to highlight only these few. And then the Rashi says, what does it mean? What does it mean? Vayeishev Yaakov and Jacob sailed. We've already seen one explanation, which was that it was telling us all the events that happened. Then it was telling us that everything happened because of Joseph. But now it tells us, what does it mean Why did all the things of Joseph, the terrible things that happened to Joseph, happen? Because Yaakov sought to settle. That's why it happened. Yaakov thought to settle down. Yaakov thought, I'm going to say it to you outside, but then we'll say it in person. Yaakov thought to settle down in life. He thought, I'm done. He said, you know what? I reached retirement age. I'm done in life. I'm going to go and play golf every day. That's my job now. Bikesh Yaakov Vayeishev b'shalva. What does it mean? Jacob sought to settle down. Yaakov sought to dwell in tranquility. He said, I've had a hard life. Let me go sit on the beach all day. I've had a hard life. Now it's my time to just sit down and do nothing.
Yeah, but he could have went to learn. He learned 14 years before Lavan.
He could have learned. He could have learned. Instead, what did he try to do? He tried to settle down, Judah. He was trying to settle down. Yosef. That's why the whole turmoil of Joseph, because Hashem Yisbarach said, "Tzadikim mevakshim leishev b'shalva." A tzaddik wants to just sit down and do nothing all day. Amar Kadosh Baruch Hu, tzadikim ma'ashem esukan lahem la'olam haba. The tzaddikim don't have enough in the world to come. They have everything's prepared for them in the world to come. They also want to dwell in tranquility in this world. They have their time for tranquility in the next world. Why do they need to dwell in this world in tranquility? And that's what the problem. That's what it is. Means Yaakov's desire to just settle down in life and not continue on his spiritual mission, his spiritual responsibility, because it's showing that Yaakov was not allowed to settle, and that was a sin, and that's why God created this turmoil of Joseph. Was that what you're trying to say, Judah?
Yes, but why punish the kids and not the father? I mean,
you could always ask. There was some aspect of Yosef that needed this also, but it happened in this way because there was a defect, according to Rashi. There was a defect in the way Yaakov was conducting himself in his approach and his attitude. And according to this approach, that's what Rashi is saying, that this aroused Hashem's wrath.
I'd like to play devil's advocate.
Against Rashi? Or
Yes.
Against me?
Against
fine.
Rashi.
Oh, yeah.
Yaakov was 108 years old.
Yeah. Yaakov says.
He was going to die at the age of 147. 108 is like more than midlife crisis. It's really like Rashi isn't being fair to him. Like he really does deserve to live in peace.
Not only that, when Yaakov comes to Paro, he says, Yaakov says to Paro, my years are ma'at v'ra'im. My years are few.
And he was punished for that.
Right. So the point is Yaakov had a hard life. He wanted to just have his golden years, let him enjoy life. No, yes, that's not what the Yiddish approach is. The Jewish approach is we never take our foot off the gas pedal. I mean, you could take a weekend here or a few days there, but you never take your foot off the gas pedal. Every second that Hashem gives us in life, it has to be an opportunity to maximize our responsibilities to serve Hashem. That's it. There is no feeling sorry for ourselves. It's not allowed. We have to keep our foot on the gas pedal and press. That's what the Torah is saying. That's what Rashi says. Okay. Sorry, Rabbi Yosef. Do you want a rebuttal?
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. So it says the verse. Eila toldos Yaakov. We're still reading that, and the verse states that Yosef was 17 years old. He was watching his father's sheep. Vunar es b'nei Bilah, es b'nei Zilpah, and he was a youth with the sons of Bilah and the sons of Zilpah. the wives of his father. Vayavei Yosef estibasam ra'ah el aviyam. And Joseph brought the evil tidings or the bad tidings to their father. Let's look what this Rashi says. Bunar. Yosef was a youth. What does that mean? He was a youth. Shaya osem mas and narus. He was acting like a youth. He was acting in a manner that youths do. Mitakim besaro. He was fixing his hair. Mashmesh be'enav. He was grooming his eyes. Kadesh nira yafes, so that he looked attractive. He was always engaged in these activities, focusing on his appearance. And so that's why Rashi was criticizing him here. That's why that's what the Torah is saying here. We might say, oh, he's just a youth. Oh, give him a break. No. We judge Yaakov for acting in an elder, like a lot of the people who are older act. And the Torah does not give him a break. And also we judge Yosef for acting like a lot of the younger people act today. Like focusing on their fashion, their clothes, oh, he's just a youth. No, that's not what, there's no such thing as just a youth. That's a criticism. Of course, we say, Kohelet says that let the youth rejoice in their youth, but that's not the approach of this Rashi. So, says the Rashi, and he was a nar with the Bnei Bilah, with the sons of Bilah. Komar v'ragil etzel Bnei Bilah. He had a custom. He was regularly found with the sons of Bilah, Lefisha ahayu achav mivazin usan, because the brothers were bullying Bilah and Zilpah's sons, because they were the sons of the maids, v'hu mikarvan, and so he was bringing them closer. So that's interesting. And then it says, and he brought reports of them to their father. What does that mean? Estiba samra, kora shahaya roa be'achiv. Anything bad that he saw in the which he would see in his brothers, b'nei Leah, anything that he would see bad in his brothers, the sons of Leah, hayamagid la'achiv. He would tell his father. He would report to his father. Shayu ochan Aver Menachai. He saw them eating Aver Menachai. We'll come back to this. Umezalzon b'bnei shvachos. He saw them eating the Aver Menachai. He saw them disparaging the bnei shvachos, the children of the maids. L'krosan avadim, by calling them servants. V'chashudin al arayos, and he suspected them of violating sexual sins. And because he saw these three areas, he told his father that they were tearing the limb from a living animal, that they were disparaging the sons of the maids, and that they were suspected about sexual sins. He was afflicted in all three ways. How so? However, Menachai, he was afflicted for Aver Menachai because it says Vayishchat Tu Sa'ir Izim. They slaughtered a young goat when they sold him. But they did not eat it alive. Meaning to say, they slaughtered this goat, but they didn't eat it alive. And also about the bad things that they said about the brothers. He said that the brothers were saying, he said that they were calling them slaves. For this reason, he was sold as a slave. Evan Nimkar, Yosef. So Joseph said, Joseph said Lashon Hara, that they're calling these boys slaves. So he was sold as a slave. He said Lashon Hara, that they're eating Aver Menachai. So they said, oh, a wild animal must have eaten him. And he accused him of being sexually sinful. And it says, and the wife lifted up her eyes. Potiphar's wife saw him. So says the commentary on Rashi, how could Yaakov's sons that committed these sins that Joseph accused them of? And if they didn't commit the sins, how could Yosef have committed such lies and libel about them? So some say that that the animal, it says they saw eating Avim Menachai, he saw the animal doing its death rattle, Mifar Chases, that the animal was already slaughtered, but was still going through the death rattle. And then he saw them rip off a limb. So such an animal is really slaughtered, and you could eat it, but when we apply it to non-Jews, it's considered not alive. So that's the problem. Others say, another approach is that it says it was, some say there's another approach that the sons of Leah were such experts in Kabbalah that they knew how to create an animal from like lab grown meat. They knew how to create an animal, and so therefore the prohibition of Aver Menachai does not apply to such an animal. And so Yosef saw them eating it, and he didn't realize it was created supernaturally. So this is a very powerful idea of how they could have done it, so they could create an animal supernaturally. But that reminds us of the lab-grown meat, because that was not created from a different animal. So it's a question whether some of these laws of like slaughtering an animal, do you need to slaughter an animal? Is that going to apply to lab-grown meat? Based upon this, it shouldn't apply, because even though it looks like an animal, if it really was created in this other way, maybe it doesn't apply. Maybe it doesn't require shlita, for example. You don't need to slaughter it. You could just kill it however you want. So that's going to be a question that our community struggles with as this becomes more of a reality, because some of this meat is just manufactured. They don't manufacture the whole animal. So it won't require shlita. Anyway, I'll stop here. If you have a question, Rabbi Yosef.
Just that the same